What's up, team? It's Joe Mill here, back again with Killer Miller Q. We back for another good cook. And before I even get into it, I want to make sure I take a quick second to let you know we're growing fast. And I'm getting a whole lot of good support, a whole lot of good comments, and I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. That's why we're here doing this thing yet again, and I'm gonna bring you another good cook. Today, we're actually gonna do something that one of my subscribers brought to my attention that I never had, which was basically doing a tri-tip and cooking it just like a brisket. So we're gonna make sure we get us a nice dark crust, make sure I get me a good smoke ring on there, and at the end of the day, I know it's gonna be good. I think by now you know it's gonna be good. So let's go. Alright, so this is where it begins. Start with some beautiful meat. Let me try from the other side. Like always, for the most part, this meat comes from Costco. What we're looking at here is a prime tri-tip. We got roughly about 3.5 pounds a piece, or about 3 pounds a piece. Each one of these prime tri-tips. I know depending on your area, it might be hard for you to actually find a good tri-tip or a tie tip in general. But basically, this is bottom sirloin cut in half, right? Comes out looking like a square and they cut it in half. But with that said, if you can get a hold of it, it's basically a giant steak. And it is great eating, good marbling all the way through. Today, we're gonna be doing some fun things. I'm gonna kind of talk to you from the other side. We'll check it out. Okay, so now that you've had a chance to kind of see the meat that we're working with, these prime tri-tips are gonna be amazing. So this is what we're gonna do. We got one of them that we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna cook like a brisket style. It's gonna take forever. We're gonna let it go ahead and get all the way up to a nice pull temperature or a nice temperature of about 203, which I normally do with my briskets. And I'm really gonna be leaving it in there until I get a nice dark bark and a crust on there. For that one, I'm gonna be using this Meat Church's Holy Cow rub to give it a little bit more of a peppery and a brisket type of a flavor. And then with this one over here, I'm gonna be doing a Santa Maria style rub that's going on there, which is traditional with tri-tip and everything, in which you usually go. For those that don't know, because I know you won't find this everywhere, your tri-tip is basically your bottom sirloin. Comes out like a square. They basically cut it in half, and then you end up with these two little baby triangles that you see here. But nothing too crazy. We're gonna jump right into this and get these together. Coming from Costco, I don't need to do any trimming on these. They're already ready to go. So I am going to use a little bit of a schmear to kind of get it going. And I'm going to use pretty much what I do like on most of my stuff with 50-50 mixture of mustard and pickle juice. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get this side coated. So for me, I like to start while they're kind of sitting out with the side that I want to leave out pretty on top. And the reason being, we're gonna flip them over. And now I'm gonna give the smear on this side. Got a little fat on this side. I'm not too worried about it. Pretty much only thing I ever have to do on these are come through, and if it's anything too gloppy, I mean, I can't take the time to really go ahead and get that off. But for the most part, it's nothing too crazy on these. They do a good job of trimming them up. Now I'm already on the side that I want to look at as my back side. So it makes it easy for me to then go straight into my seasoning. So we're going to start first with this Santa Maria one first. And if you never had the Santa Maria rub, it's great. It's nice, it's light, it's refreshing, salty, got a little citrus to it, I think. Okay, give it a little pat. Flip this baby over. Not a much of an edge, but I want to make sure I hit what I got. Boom. Nothing too crazy. All right, now we're gonna come on over here to the one that we're gonna be doing today's show on, which is the one that's gonna be like a brisket with Holy Cow's Meat Church rub, or Meat Church's Holy Cow rub, shall we say? I like this rub. I know it's gonna give a good bark. There's a decent amount of pepper in here. Sometimes I add extra pepper to my brisket afterwards just to kind of really get it crusted up. I'm not gonna do that on these. So at the end of the day, this isn't that big or thick of a piece of meat compared to like the brisket, so I don't want to over season it. This one looks like the bigger of the two, so I wanted to get it on as the brisket. Stay off of there. Get that side done and flip it over to my pretty side. Hit that one, pat it in. Simple, easy money. And needless to say, you already know I'm gonna bring you in so you can see what it look like. Hold tight. All right, check out these primes. That's what we got. Santa Maria, easy to tell the difference. Looks almost like I just hit this with a whole lot of salt and just a tad of pepper. And then you got the old Holy Cow Meat Church. Got a little redness to it already. And you can see those flecks of pepper and everything in there. So I'm gonna let this hang out. Let these come on up and let them enjoy for about 5-10 minutes. And then we're gonna get this baby on the smoker. All right, I think you know what time it is. So this is our plan today. We cooking along. I had a little bit of mesquite wood in here I kind of got the fire started with, but mostly like always we'll be going with oak. And from there I got the one that's gonna be more or less cooked like a actual brisket over here to the right, a little closer to the fire. And then on the left side I got my Santa Maria traditional style tri-tip. We're gonna cook along at 250. This one here I'm pretty much gonna be going to the look, and I'll pretty much pull it once it's actually pretty darkened and got the color that I want. I'll wrap it up and I'll let it get all the way up to the temperature I want to get to, just like I would if it was a brisket. And I'm gonna go with butcher paper when I wrap. And then this one I'm gonna do like I do my tri-tips, which is I'm pretty much gonna get some good smoke in here for a couple hours, and then from there I'll be transferring that over to the hot grill and getting a little bit of reverse sear action going. Hold tight, I'll bring you along the way for some updates. All right, we smoking right along. Been rocking in at 250 pretty steady. Throwing some wood in. We're a little over an hour. Let's see what we got. Like I thought, it's about time to get our spritz on. So this is what we're gonna do. I don't want to change the flavor too much on the Santa Maria. Well, I want to keep it pretty natural, but I do want to give it a little love. So what I'm gonna do is just hit it with a little bit of this extra virgin olive oil. The organic just comes out in the actual, like the natural oil. Just a little something to protect him from being overly dry. You can see it. Look at that marbling. And then I'm gonna rearrange these, probably give them a flip. And then on this one that I'm treating like a brisket, I'm gonna be using the same mixture I used before, which is the Worcestershire sauce, 50-50 with the beef broth. I add a little bit of oil in there too. Just a little something. Say if it was a brisket, I probably wouldn't even have to touch it until about 3-hour mark, but I mean, that's a way bigger piece of meat. So we're gonna give it a little love. Bam, looking good. All right, I'll flip these babies over, and then other than that, I'll come check you in about another hour. All right, we're a couple hours in. Let's swap out some wood. Let's take a peek. Probably give us some good spritzes. Getting some good color in up here. Pull this rack out a little bit. Get you some light. I did rotate them after I gave them a spritz last time. So this is the one that we gonna focus on today. Of course, since we got my other one over here, I'll let you get a peek at it. I can't do you like that. But today, this is the one that's going to be getting smoked like a brisket, so we'll be able to kind of check it out, and then I'll get to take it out and taste it versus just the traditional way. So I'm doing nothing to this one here other than I'm going to give it a light spritz and let it keep on rocking. This one here, though, I am gonna temp, and since you in here for the other cook, I might as well let you check it out too. It's got 2 hours of smoke. We've been rolling along at 250. It's about what I was expecting. Keep in mind when you're thinking about this, it's almost like a steak. For some people, this is probably already more than done enough. They would have probably pulled this off at about, I can see a little bit of juice coming out of there, still reddish. That lets you know your insides isn't quite done. If you like yours more medium well to well done, you want to get them juices clear. For me, I'm a medium well type of a guy. Almost, I used to be more well done. I say medium well these days more than anything. So that's an easy little thermometer that'll tell me a quick check. But as you just seen, we was at close to around 156 in there. But it is getting close to the time that I am going to be throwing this on there and then working through and getting me a nice good reverse sear. And I'll let this thing kind of hang out. We'll check it out maybe on the back end. I'll show you, taste me that one. Here we are. I am probably close to about 2 hours, 2.5 hours here. There is our smoked like a brisket tri-tip right here. My color is looking pretty good. I'm gonna let it go a little bit longer though, because I want to give me a little bit more barker look. Even though with that rub it was a little reddish, so it'll probably keep a little bit of that, but I could definitely get that one a little bit darker. Really, I'm in here to take a look at you. And what I'm about to be doing now is yanking this one out. I already know I got some pretty good color. This is my traditional tri-tip with the Santa Maria seasoning on it. I'm gonna go ahead and take it out. I've already removed my griddle plate, and we're gonna go ahead and get the reverse sear action going on it, and then we'll get it up off of here. So I'll give it about 2 minutes on one side. I'll let you check it out once we get it moved. All right, so I got you back in now. I got this baby over here. We got a nice little sizzle when I first tossed it on here. This is probably one of my #1 features I like about this old Lone Star is being able to, reverse sear on here and get it right over an open flame and have a nice area to kind of cook over. And with this big metal, for the most part, I don't lose too much temperature in the chamber. Right now, I got the top open talking, so I'm losing it. So we about to close this baby up. I'll give it about 2 minutes, and I'll bring you back and we'll flip. All right. So that's been about 2 minutes. Let's go ahead and flip this. Oh yeah, nice. Right over the middle. Nice little bit of char on there. Whew, that flavor on my hand is all right. We'll get that bottom side a little love, then we'll get this one up off of here, let it rest. This will be my first victim. I'll let you see me taste this one. All right, we done got our couple minutes on the bottom side. This baby looking good. I already know I'm at a good temp. Like I said, basically, yeah, we'll cook it almost like a steak. I'm gonna use my tongs that I use, but not drop it when I work on the griddle. We'll see that one later on. And there we go. See if we can get some good looks at it. Get in the middle of that plate. Prime, tri-tip, little Santa Maria style. Got me a little crisp over there from that char. I'm gonna let this thing hang out and we will taste it. All right, contestant #1 coming to the stage. This is the Santa Maria tri-tip. Let's get in there close so you can get a good peek before I start cutting this thing up and we get a taste. Man, I gotta get one of them little crumbly edges over there. Beautiful color. It's went about 2.5 hours in the smoke over 250. Had a little bit of mesquite in there, but mostly oak. And then reverse seared. It gave it a little bit of color, about 2 minutes on each side. I probably went at the end of the day when I pulled it off of there, my temperatures was right around 156. Before we get back to the cook, I want to take a quick second to tell you, if you're new to the channel, thanks for checking out the video. Take a second to go to that bottom right corner and make sure that you like and subscribe so you can keep up with the weekly videos. And if you've been here, I'll throw you a new challenge. Take a second right now to find somebody that like barbecue that you can share this video with, and let's get them out here in this community and let's keep on spreading the love. But with that said, let's get back to the work. All right, so let's get to the good part. We're gonna cut this thing up. We talked about this before in my other tri-tip video. You got those grains going a couple different ways on tri-tip, so we want to remember that we're gonna cut against the grain. Okay, so pretty simple. We're just gonna do a couple rotations here. I can tell you now, this one smells great and looks super juicy. So here initially, I got all my grains coming into about this point here, about halfway through, and everything's running straight ahead. And then from there, I got grains that are starting to come this way. So I'm gonna start with that part, facing right towards you. I can tell you we got a good looking smoke ring. And I tell you what too, I've heard of a couple, but I'm definitely no knife connoisseur, but I know one thing, this one here isn't the greatest, and I need to give me another one. Let me know in the comment section if you know a good knife that'll be a good one and solid to work with. I know I always usually hear a lot of good things about like Dow Strong and everything, but let me know what knife you guys using at home, what's doing well for you, and maybe I can adapt that in here to the cooks. This thing is cutting up pretty. All the way up to about there. And then what I'll do is I'm just gonna kind of rotate it so I can then finish it up. I kind of open it up so you can fan forward and see that. Nice and pretty. Like always, we battling these flies. It's nice and juicy, I can tell. My cooking board is getting wet, and I'm gonna bring you in there so you can see what it looked like before or right after I get my taste. But now we're gonna work on this side. I got all these grains going more or less right this way. So now I'm gonna start right there, going against it. Now the reason you're going against the grain, for those that don't know, is this is gonna make you have a much more tender piece of meat. When you go to actually, especially when we're talking about like brisket, when you go to actually do that pull test, if you to cut with the grain, you might actually have some good tender meat, and you waited until it got up to 200 plus, and then still have a whole lot of issues with your pull, only because you didn't cut it right. This is gonna make it where it's a lot easier for you to have that pull through, and so the meat doesn't fight against you. Get you the nice tender cuts. Oh, we looking good. Get back. These flies obviously smell it. So even though this isn't like supposed to be pulled through, because the way we cut it, whoo, this is good. Now, you know we always get issues trying to refocus when I walk around, so I'm gonna take it slow. And you can kind of see those grains. You see how everything's going straight up and down? When you go to pull, it makes it a lot easier than if we were pulling against it. Santa Maria did not disappoint. Good smoke ring, nice subtle flavor, can't go wrong, nice and juicy still. That's perfect for me at about medium well with a little flavor, but not a whole lot of red. All right, we're gonna hold tight on this one, and then we're gonna come back and we'll get into the next. All right, there's a close-up for you so you can get a chance to see what it all looks like. That came out pretty tasty. I tell you, that Santa Maria rub, while it's nice and subtle, it's really letting the meat speak for itself. And there's a hint of garlic and everything in there, a little bit of pepper. That was pretty. As you can see, with my juices running, I got a little bit of, tad bit of pink, but more than anything, for me, that's about a medium well. Got some good charring going on, good color. That one was good. Let's jump over to the cook. Still rolling at 250. There we go. I'm solid with that. Let me pick up my little handy dandy thing I used to pull this out. That's good looking bark right there. So that's what we're gonna do. Get a little bit on here just to keep it all fresh. My bad if I got you a bad view. Let you get it over here maybe in the light so you can see what I got. It's pretty. This color looks good. Get this thing moving on there now. Oh yeah. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give it a temp just to see where we're at. And then from there, we'll see about having to wrap. We'll let this baby rest. And then I get another tri-tip to taste. And this is what the cook is all about. We're gonna try the one that's like a brisket, right? We'll see what it's like, especially after I still got a little bit of brisket in the fridge from the last cook. So we should be all right. So I'm gonna pretty much take this temp more or less in the fat part of it. Perfect. So it's at 156. Now, we're gonna go wrap this up. I'm gonna go get me some butcher paper. I'll spritz it down really good, and that's all I'm gonna add to it. And then from there, we'll toss it back on there with a probe in it, and I'll pull it when it gets to 200. Check out my little kite. Or it's more almost look like a little flag up there. It's all right, we wrapped it up in some butcher paper, double paper, just like I would if it was a brisket. I didn't really add much to it other than the same thing we were spritzing with along the way, which was a 50-50 mix of Worcestershire sauce along with some beef broth. A little bit of oil was in there, and I went ahead and threw my probe in. I'm sitting at about 161. I'm gonna get to this thing when it's about 200. I catch it in. I'm gonna also pump up my heat now like I normally do with my brisket too. I'll probably kick this thing up to about at least 275. Alright, it's been about 4 hours and 45 minutes. I kicked it up to around 275, almost 300, and we temping out pretty well. Over 200 on my hand probe, and then over 204 on the wireless one. And the main thing is sometimes it's kind of hard to really tell until you get through, especially when you double wrapping everything with this paper, if it's actually probe tender. So a lot of times I can tell by when I touch on the meat and everything too, but I'll be able to figure it out when I get inside, so I'm not too worried. I'm gonna pull this baby off, let it rest, we'll get us a taste. Alright, I tinted this just a tad, but I ain't wanted to lose everything. So we about to take these first couple looks together. I like that. Right, we got juice in here. Already I saw this package was oozing a little bit. I'm gonna pull this back a little bit. And remember, I didn't add no juice to or liquid to this. All the thing we did was we spritzed it good and we wrapped this baby up. There she is. That's all right. I'll bring her in here. Let me get us a nice little movement. I think I lost a little bit of my burp. They look good though. Nice and juicy. Let's get this on the cutting board. Figured I'd bring you back real quick before I start chopping it up, just because you can see it a little bit better now that we added all that paper. Got me a little bit of bark. Definitely I saw some areas where it looked like it got steamed out. But it tastes amazing as far as some of the juice that came off of this thing. That holy cow is always a winner. We're about to go ahead and chop this baby down, and we're going to get a taste and see what we got. Alright, I done lost all my daylight out here, but we got this baby done. I'm about to go ahead and get right into it, as we done already looked at it, and I'm hungry. I'm the last person that ain't touched too much. So we're gonna go ahead, just like we did with the other one, we're going against the grain. Initially, this one's kind of going this way on this half, and then this half is going more or less straight ahead. So I'm gonna start right there with that one. I like to get that point out the way. Thing is still nice and juicy, even though it's not quite as fatty as a brisket. It made it through that brisket type cook. Nice and pretty. Let's see what we got here. Great looking smoke ring. I don't know if you can check that out of there on cam. I'll make sure I bring you in nice and close. But the best part is we got to take that test. That's great. Super tender. This rub is so peppery. It's got a good bark on here. It's actually pretty still warm. I'm liking this. Give it a shot. Definitely a little bit different. I was wondering if it was going to end up being too dry, since we took it like a brisket and it's not quite as fatty, but at the end of the day, I still got a good moisture content. Once that bark gets set, it keeps everything on the inside if you do it right. It's hard to tell you which one I like better, as far as the traditional version, where I reverse sear it, or trying to do it like a brisket, especially when I use two different rubs. I really do like this Meat Church rub, and that Santa Maria is nice, smooth, and easy. With that said, you got plenty of time, try them both. Until next week, see you next cook, Killer Miller Q. Peace.